What if I told you that a simple waiter, with nothing but honesty in his heart, ended up marrying a billionaire no one thought he deserved? This is not just a story about wealth or status. It's about love, destiny, and the courage to follow your heart. Stay with me till the end, because this story will make you believe in miracles. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel Kind Soul TV, where stories touch hearts and souls. It all began on a rainy evening. The kind of evening where the city lights blurred behind misty glass and life seemed both lonely and magical, when a young man named Armaan, dressed in his modest black and white waiter uniform, hurried across the marble floors of a luxury restaurant, balancing a tray of steaming soup bowls, while silently praying he wouldn't trip in front of the wealthy guests who dined there every night, guests who lived in a world far removed from his own, a world of billion-dollar business deals, diamond jewelry, and chauffeur-driven cars, while he lived in a cramped one-room apartment and sent half his earnings back home to his ailing mother. Yet despite his struggles his eyes carried a quiet fire, a dignity that no poverty could erase. And it was on that very evening that fate chose to weave an extraordinary thread into his ordinary life, for seated at the corner table was none other than Zara Malik, the heir to the Malik empire, a woman whispered about in magazines as a cold and distant billionaire, a business tycoon who had rejected countless suitors and built walls around her heart so high that no man dared to climb them. Yet when Armaan approached her table with trembling hands and placed the soup in front of her, their eyes met for the first time, and something inexplicable passed between them. Something that made Zara's guarded heart skip a beat and Armaan's humble soul falter in surprise. Though neither of them spoke more than a polite thank you, the universe had already begun its work, and little did they know that this accidental gaze would ignite a storm that no force could stop, for love has a way of blooming in the most unexpected soil. The days that followed their first encounter unfolded like whispers of destiny, subtle yet unshakable, for Zara Malik, the billionaire woman who was used to commanding boardrooms and silencing crowds with the sharp edge of her words, found herself strangely restless after that night at the restaurant. Her thoughts circling back to the waiter with soulful eyes and unpolished charm, a man so far removed from her glittering world of private jets and lavish estates that even she questioned why her heart lingered on his memory. And yet every time she closed her eyes she saw him. The simplicity in his smile, the sincerity in his tone, the way he didn't look at her as the world's most powerful heiress but as a woman, just a woman, vulnerable and real beneath the armor of her wealth. And while she tried to bury those thoughts under piles of contracts and business meetings, fate intervened once again when her father's birthday approached and she, against her usual traditions, decided to host a dinner at that very restaurant. A decision her friends thought was beneath her status, but one that secretly thrilled her, because it meant she might see Armaan again. And sure enough, when she entered the restaurant that night, dressed not in her usual power suits, but in a soft blue gown that made her look like a dream sculpted out of moonlight, Armaan was there, standing near the corner with his tray, trying to act professional even though his heart pounded at the sight of her. Because deep inside he had thought he'd never see her again, that she belonged to a universe far beyond his reach. And yet here she was, smiling faintly as if searching for a familiar soul in a crowded room, and when their eyes met again something electric ran between them, stronger than before, undeniable. And it was in that moment that the story of a billionaire and a waiter truly began to write itself. Not with ink on paper but with stolen glances, trembling hands, and a destiny that would defy every loave. When it dares to cross the boundaries of wealth, class, and society, becomes a story that even time cannot erase. And this was exactly what began to unfold when Armaan and Zara decided to stand together against the world. Though their choice was anything but easy. Because the society in which Zara was born believed that a billionaire heiress marrying a humble waiter was not only impossible but laughable. And when she first confessed to her closest business partners, and so-called friends that she had feelings for Armaan, a storm of mockery, judgment, and disbelief rose around her. Every voice echoing the same cruel prediction, that this was nothing more than a temporary fascination, that a woman of such stature and legacy could never truly be happy with someone who had nothing but honesty to his name. But Zara's heart, for the first time in her life, had chosen its own path, a path of truth and vulnerability rather than power and wealth. And she knew deep within her soul that this was not a fleeting attraction, but a love that had carved itself into the very fabric of her being. While on the other side Armaan wrestled with his own storm of emotions, For every night as he lay in his small apartment listening to the hum of the city outside, he questioned whether he was truly worthy of the love of a woman who could command entire empires. He doubted himself, wondering if he would ever be enough for her, because Zara had everything: fame, fortune, beauty, influence, while he had only a sincere heart and a pair of calloused hands. Yet sometimes it is sincerity that outweighs all the gold in the world. And Zara never tired of reminding him that it was not his wallet she desired but his soul, not his status but his strength, not his possessions but his purity. And though the world mocked them, though the whispers grew louder and the judgment harsher, the bond between them deepened, until it was no longer a fragile flame, but a fire neither of them could deny.